alternates present, because the mayor needs their attendance in order to do the appointments.
Well,
And-
we wouldn't be appointing them. We appoint the fourth alternate, and let's say if a board member leaves for some reason, let's say if John Stein, as the third board member left, Betty Howe would move up to her position, Ty Chumley would move up, and the first alternate would be the fifth board member. It would always run that way. And that's the way it used to be, and that's the way I'd like to see it in the future.
Right, I understand, but what I'm requiring that their alternates show
Yeah,
up.
show up.
And what I told the liaisons, because I'm starting to now get some time to visit with all the committees. Some of the liaisons weren't attending the meetings, well then, when they're needed, they don't know how to function.
Right.
So, we've had to talk about that, so.
That's a training, it's a great training,
Understood.
so you start at the fourth alternate and move up.
Right. Yeah, so they'll be doing that.
Okay. All right, so you want to bring something back though and put it, memorialize it in writing, is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes, Mayor.
Counselor? Okay, yes, Counselor Hefner.
Sorry, Ms. Richards, just to make sure I understand what you're saying. So in this particular example, Mr. Power is out. You would suggest that Ms. Campos move to the first alternate, and then we would fill alternate 2, 3, and 4? Is that?
Yes, sir.
That's
okay,
right.
Make sure I understood that correctly.
Well, could I also add, if we were, that we put this in writing, that is it the chairman has to recommend, remember?
That's
Okay, so that needs to be
That is,
in writing.
that is in your code.
Well, okay.
That's in
All right,
your,
just wanted to,
especially plan.
if we're gonna, make sure it's all together, right? Yes, sir, I didn't mean to interrupt you, go ahead. That's all together, okay, great. Okay, over here on this side. Oh, okay, citizens. Mr. Mata, and then Mr. Roscoe.
Yeah, Eric Mata, Canterfield, and I'm not exactly sure what terminology Crystal was using in reference to my application, but I do know that my application was in before Betty Hiles, John Sines, and Ty Chumley's, because I actually encouraged them. I reached out to them after I had turned it in.
Okay.
So effectively, I'm not a board member because it was a mistake made by staff.
That's what I was trying to.
So, okay, I wasn't sure exactly
So
what.
maybe he's the first alternate, so then he would be the first to move up, given a vacancy.
Yes.
Right.
Was my recommendation, is
All
what I
right,
was
very
trying to.
good.
So, yeah, I wanted to make sure we were
Okay.
clear on that, because I wasn't
I
sure.
thought I was trying to
Okay,
jump in your defense.
Okay,
That's
So
okay.
in other words, we wouldn't move up on a compost, we'd put Mr. Mata in at first alternate because of the mix-up on the application?
it makes sense.
Okay,
Because he would have technically been, I guess, a board member, and so at least if he's first alternate and somebody else can't fulfill their position.
right, then he gets moved right up, yeah. Okay, yes.
That was done.
Mr. Roscoe, good evening and welcome.
Yvonne Roscoe from Pomona, and I am on the board. So I was appointed like last year. And it was just, actually, there was no board members on there because everybody had resigned. And Sandra and I went over this because, things happened. And, I believe mine got lost. I don't remember what happened, but anyway, all of a sudden, Albert Alcazar was back. So he was on there, he resubmitted his application to be reappointed. And then I was a member, and there was nobody else. And then when the applications came out, when I was appointed, it was Anna Campos, Drew Power, and for alternate one was actually Evan Bull, who withdrew his name because he was on planning and zoning. And I withdrew my name from planning and zoning because I was on board of adjustments, because, I knew the conflict there. So when Evan's name came off, that's when, Jessica would have gone up, but that's when y'all decided to divide them. And then Eric would have gone up. I don't know where Liz Malloy came back on unless she decided she wanted to resubmit her name. But on that first alternate is where Eric would go in, if you're gonna do it the way that you normally do it. But the reason that the alternates didn't move up, and you put Betty Heil, John Simon,
I
and
didn't get a
Shumway,
recommendation.
because you didn't get a recommendation because we have not met.
Mhm.
So that's why you're in the situation you're in now.
That's right. Okay, thank you. Who else? Yes, Counselor Stevens?
Okay, so this board has always been my concern, from the very beginning. And I honestly, I don't want to say this is intentional, but it's hard to believe this wasn't intentional. I'm looking at agenda packet, page 442, from April 6th, 2021. And yes, so Eric Mata's name was intentionally, or it was accidentally or intentionally left off. Liz Malloy's name was not in the agenda packet at all
Yeah, I didn't think her
on
name
April
was
6th,
there.
2021. So it magically appears today, and it doesn't have a time next to it. It just has a date that I think is probably fabricated, but nonetheless, this board is an important board. We know that there's the conflicts of interest. I think it's right that, that we give Mr. Mata the top slot, because first of all, this is the only committee that he's on, right?
Yeah, just one. Right.
Yeah, and like Councilor Bradshaw stated earlier, I think that we do, to have a set way, it's gonna prevent involvement from some citizens. Like, I think it's better to diversify our committees and allow multiple people, people to be part of committees. If they only are interested in one committee, we should take that into consideration when we're factoring in, if they'd be a good fit. And plus, somebody that's been on the same board for 10 years, if all 5 of the board members have been on there for 10 years and nobody ever wants to leave, it just seems like not democratic, because another person not getting the opportunity to serve on the board. So, nonetheless, I like the plan of putting Mr. Mata with the first alternate. Ms. Signs with the third, and actually, should I just motion that we appoint Eric Mata as the first alternate, Jessica Signs as,
I think Jen has to.
We have to remove.
Oh,
the-
I don't think I made a motion.
You did.
Did I?
You did.
Okay, I removed my motion.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, but I'm sorry.
You did.
Okay, all right.
Oh, do you want to ask your, let me just take away my motion and let's get the question clarified first.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes,
Sorry.
Counselor Hefner, you're recognized. Thank you.
Apologies.
No, thank you.
I like to make it much more like a conversation, but I understand
No,
there's
I know,
so
I know.
we're all growing
It's a,
together. I did have a question, and this may be a question for staff or anyone that has a perspective on this, but as these committees are meeting, and I want to understand the differences between the board members and the alternates, and when is a alternate seated? My experience on Economic Development Corporation was very much if there was an open seat, then they seated an alternate. But I think I also remember there were times where we didn't, without an alternate, we couldn't make a quorum. So what are the rules around when an alternate is seated versus a board member? Is it anytime there's an absence, or is it only if an alternate is required to make a quorum?
I thought it was in absence, but anyway. Counselor Martinez, did you?
I can
Have a
answer
question?
that the way it used to be.
I can answer how it is now.
Okay.
The way it used to be is that if a board member didn't show up, the first alternate would
Okay.
step in and become a board member for that meeting only. Or if 2 members didn't show up, then the first and second would get voting privileges, I guess is a better word, but they'd move up into a
That's the same,
member.
isn't it? Yeah, isn't that the same today, Cassie?
Yes, that's how we've been running it on the zoning commission, and I imagine Brandon would make the board of adjustment do that also, because they
sure.
need pretty much all 5 votes, pretty much all the time. But yeah, that's how we've been running it, and we have expected our alternates to be there. I don't know why he says before, that's how we've been doing it, at least since I've been on it for the last 4 years.
Okay, all right, thank you. Counselor Hefner.
And sorry, just one other question, in just understanding roles and responsibilities. And so if an alternate is present, but let's say all board members are there, what is the alternate's role at that point? Are they serving in an official capacity? Are they simply there as a citizen at that point? What is the role of an alternate if the board is filled?
We expect our alternates to speak up if they have an opinion. They don't have a vote if all of the non-alternate members are there. But we also expect them to vote if anyone is missing. We will move them up according to their first and second positions.
But I would add it's experience. It's going through the process, it's learning, whether they're a board member or not, because they're eventually going to be moved up. You know, maybe not, in a month, maybe not in a year, but it's very valuable. And so,
And we do expect them to participate as if they were a member. They just can't vote if we're full. So.
that's right, so they can still ask questions. Okay, very good. Yes, Counselors, Stevens, we're gonna have to make a motion on our rules here in just a minute. Okay, go ahead. Let's finish this up, the Board of Adjustment.
Well, I'd like to start off by saying, so we know this has been an issue, and it's probably like the 8th meeting we brought it up. The Board of Adjustment is an important committee because it results in lawsuits against the city. And we've known that from the very beginning. I expect when we come to these council meetings that we're presented with honest and accurate information, and that has not been the case with this, and it's not the case today. And it's quite frustrating, to be honest, because we aren't paid, but we do expect reliable information. So I'll just start by saying that. But with that being said, I motion that we appoint Eric Mata.
Okay, we have to withdraw, we have to remove. You already did? Did we vote on it? We don't have to, okay, I thought we had to vote on it. I thought it had to be part of the motion. I thought that's what I heard Ms. Posley say, it had to be part of the motion.
Withdraw Drew.
Yeah, withdraw Drew. I'm gonna ask the city attorney. I'm gonna ask the city attorney.
Mayor, he's saying he's
So
withdrew
in
the
order-
motion.
He's talking about withdrawing motion, y'all are talking two different things.
Yeah.
We're doing two different things, because with Drew and Drew.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Okay,
What Councilmember Hefner is talking about is he's withdrawing the
Yeah.
active motion
I
on the floor.
understood that completely, yes. But I was going back to Counselor Stevens, before you make the motion of who you're gonna put in the spots, we need to move to remove Drew Power because he's got a conflict.
Okay, so I'll
Please.
start with
Yes.
and then so I'll motion that we remove Drew Power. Well, that's the other thing, we can't remove people from this committee, right?
You can, there's a conflict.
Because
It's on
there's
the
a
planning
conflict.
and zoning commission meeting, if you can't, planning and committee, or, yeah, that one. And, sorry,
And he's already shown up over there.
correct, and he can't be part of the board of adjustments. It's a conflict of interest.
But we're statutorily allowed to, because I was told that we can't remove people from the Board of Adjustment.
When there's a conflict, you can. And
Okay.
he's not a board member, he's an alternate.
Okay, great. So I'll start by motioning that we remove Drew Power as the third alternate on the Board of Adjustment.
Okay, and then go ahead and appoint. I think we can make it.
And I'll also motion that we appoint Eric Mata as first alternate on the Board of Adjustment, Jessica Sines as the third alternate in Drew Powers' place on the Board of Adjustment, and Dr. Hamner as the fourth alternate on the Board of Adjustment.
I'll second that.
All right. Yes. Let me repeat the motion in second, and then I'll recognize Sandra Posley. So we have a motion by Counselor Stevens and a second by Counselor Martinez to remove Drew Power as the third alternate due to a conflict on the Board of Adjustment and appoint Eric Mata as first alternate, Jessica Sines as third alternate, and Ronald Hamner, MD, as fourth alternate. Any further discussion? Ms. Posley, you're recognized.
I just wanted to let the council and everybody here know, I've just forwarded you all the email I received on February 22nd from Ms. Liz Malloy. I apparently left her application off as well. I did not fabricate that. I did receive her application on February 22nd.
Okay, thank you for
Thank
that
you.
information. Yes, any further discussion? Mr. Mata?
Yeah, I really don't mean to pile on, Sandra, but you can see how a mistake like this, whether it was intentional or accidental, affects an important board like this. I've seen dear friends of mine in this community affected by this board, and we need real justice on here. And, I mean, look, I have no doubt that John Sines, Betty Highland, and Ty Chumley are gonna do the right thing on this board. But, it affected things, because I should have been a board member.
Mr. Mata, I apologize to you.
I know you did,
Okay,
but it doesn't change things.
all right, thank you. Let's vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion for the Board of Adjustment appointments has been made and unanimously. Okay, before we move to the next appointment, it is 10 o'clock, and our rules say that we don't start another agenda item even though we're in the middle of it. So I guess we finish it. We finish this, and then we have the motion to extend.
Yeah, whatever y'all would like to do.
What would y'all like to do?
I do have the attorney for the executive session still waiting. We told him about 9 o'clock, so you still have the executive session on for this evening.
Okay,
Unless you want me to cancel him, I just need to know.
okay, so what is the pleasure of the council on finishing up this agenda item or just moving it to the next, moving all of this to the next agenda? And go right into executive session?
Well, you're still on this agenda item, and you still have capital facilities, pool advisory, and the tree advisory report on this one agenda. You
Yeah.
just address the board of adjustments on this item.
That's true, so we'll need to finish it, but do we need to have let's just finish it and then we'll decide what we want to do after that, okay, because it's past the witching hour. Okay, so capital facilities, we've got one vacant committee member and first alternate and second alternate, and I wanted to recommend former Counselor David Edwards as the committee member, and the first alternate is Adam Castillo, because I had asked him to apply early on, and he just didn't get his application in time. And then and as far as Liz Malloy or Danielle Bolton, I'm going to defer to my colleagues on that, if you prefer one or the other. But I would recommend David Edwards and Adam Castillo in a committee member and first alternate, because I had asked them months ago to serve. And again, okay, I'm opening it up for discussion. Who else do you all want to appoint for that last position?
So I'm okay with appointing Liz Malloy. So you said that your choice, and I guess I think you get to appoint these people, but it's Dr. Edwards for the vacant committee member seat.
And then Adam Castillo, I know it's real close on the 9th, 1:15 to 3, but I had asked him to apply, and he did, and it was actually my fault because I didn't have an application to email him, and I had to ask Sandra to help me, and I'm just a day late and $1 short. He should have had his application in around the same time as Dr. Edwards, because I asked him both at the same time. I guess I was under that impression that we had to each bring 2 to the table for some reason. That's what I thought, so.
Okay, so I'm okay with, well, I guess I'll just, and the problem with, Ms. Malloy, I mean, I understand that mistakes happen, but that's an important mistake, and for that last committee. So with that, I'll motion that we appoint David Edwards as the vacant committee member seat, that we appoint Adam Castillo as the first alternate, and that we appoint Liz Malloy as the second alternate to the Capital Facilities Committee.
Is
I'll
there a
second.
All right, we have a motion by Counselor Stevens and a second by Counselor Hefner to appoint committee member David Edwards to the Capital Facilities Oversight Committee, first alternate Adam Castillo, second alternate Liz Malloy. Any further discussion? Yes.
Mayor, one note that I'll make on this,
Yes, sir.
The lady from Hilltop was here earlier this evening. This is a conversation for this board that is timely, and I think this committee needs to go ahead and meet. I believe along with this motion, we should also name a chair and then direct them to set a time for their first meeting or schedule their first meeting.
We set the chair?
Yes, by y'all's.
It's a new committee,
Okay.
so I believe we
Alright.
set the chair at this point,
Okay.
and then they would be self-determining from that point on. But I do think along with this appointment, we also need to determine a chair and then get something on.
I think they'll do that. Well, I would recommend Ole Yarnell, because he has experience from the last bond committee. He was very active on that, and I don't believe anybody else on that committee has any experience. So that's what I would recommend as the chair.
Melinda does have, just so y'all know, we can pull it, but Melinda does have that item set for June 1st meeting. So
That conflicts with the council meeting.
no, it's on the agenda already for the June 1st meeting for y'all to appoint a chair. Like
Oh.
Melinda put it on, like I'm seeing the,
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I
so it's up to
misunderstood.
y'all, we can pull it, y'all can do it as part of the motion. If y'all want, I just didn't know if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So,
That's what I
so
said.
can I amend my motion
You
and
may.
add
You may.
to, it that we appoint Mr. Olin Yarnell as the committee chair?
Okay, so we have a motion by Counselor Stevens and a second by Counselor Hefner to appoint, again, David Edwards, committee member, Adam Castillo, first alternate, Liz Malloy, second alternate, and Olin Yarnell as committee chair. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion does carry unanimously. Thank you. Moving then to pool advisory. Yes.
I
Yes,
don't
yes, ma'am.
believe that was seconded, so just.
Counselor Hefner.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
you didn't hear it over here.
Did you hear it?
The amendment wasn't seconded.
I didn't second after the amendment, so do we need to do that again?
Yeah, let's just do it over, please.
Okay, I will second the amended motion by Mr.
Oh,
Stevens.
to
yes.
add,
To add
Olin
Mr. Yarnell as the chair.
Okay, so we have that motion and the second, and the amendment, adding Mr. Yarnell as chair. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry unanimously. Thank you so much for keeping us on track. Do appreciate it. Okay, moving then to the pool advisory, we have 2 vacancies and no applicants. So if anybody would like to apply to the pool advisory committee, we'd love to have your application. Moving then to the tree advisory, we have 3 vacancies and 2 applicants, and I would recommend Mary Key as first alternate and Katie Waltney as second alternate, leaving the third alternate as open.
Also move.
I can't
Second.
make a motion, but.
What?
Oh, you're the first,
I'm
you're the second,
I'm
okay.
moving.
You can tell it's past my bewitching hour here. Let's see, we have a motion by Counselor Bradshaw and a second by Counselor Orozco to appoint Mary Key as first alternate and Katie Gwaltney as second alternate on the tree advisory board. Any further discussion? Mr. Orozco, did you have anything? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. All right, that's good. All right, very good. So now what do y'all want to do on the rest of the agenda? We have the police advisory. We can postpone that to the next one. We do have an attorney waiting for, so let me ask for a motion on how you would like to proceed. Yes. Counselor Martinez has his hand up first.
I would like to postpone this item until a time in the future after the new city manager is on board.
Now, which one is that?
Uh,
The police advisory?
Police advisory.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you wanted to postpone that or the executive session.
No,
so-
no, no.
Okay,
We
very
need to
good.
go
Just
into
want-
executive
Yes,
session.
that's
But
what
I'd
I
like
thought.
to postpone appointing anybody to CPAC until after the city manager is fully on board and up to speed.
Okay. Does anyone second that?
Second.
Okay. We have a second by Mr. Hefner. So we have a motion by Mr. Martinez and a second by Mr. Hefner to postpone appointing the CPAC members until after the new city manager is on board. And further discussion is Councilor Orozco. Yes, sir.
What's your reasoning behind this? Why do you not propose this?
Personally, I don't like the way the committee was run in the past. And if I want to be blunt about it, I don't think it should be a tattletale committee. And that's what it seemed like it evolved into. I would like, the idea behind the CPAC is good. And, they should be looking at the police policies and procedures and, trying to better our police department. Instead of looking out and, hey, so-and-so parked their car in the, blocking the sidewalk and, that type of stuff. That's what it, when I was the board member, the liaison to that, that's what it seemed like it's become.
So, the current city manager that we have now can't do the job that the new city manager is gonna be doing? Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean, we can certainly bring back the ordinance that gives the direction for the CPAC to the council if you want to provide a more narrow focus for that committee, like set up bylaw, just like we do with planning and zoning or economic and community development committee, advisory committee. Their ordinances or their bylaws shape the direction in which they go. We can bring that back to council to narrow that focus, if that's something the council would like to see.
Personally, I would like to see that.
Okay, I'll let you.
Okay. And also, just while we're at it, the subdivisions aren't right. Isn't that something? It's just not right, y'all. Let me see, and I'll tell you why. I'm trying to think.
Point of order, Mayor.
Yes.
If we're gonna table this item for
Oh, okay.
future, we can take the comments back to staff and.
That's true, we just need to, yeah, the committees, we've got Canterfield and Forest Oaks Estates as a conflict, so anyway, I'd just like to figure that out. So, okay, we can add that to the.
If you can send me any comments you have on this item, or if Mr. Martinez, if you had an idea of like the focus, so we can kind of structure that policy back for future discussion item, I appreciate it.
Well, there's a motion on the floor. Did you wanna change this, or do you wanna?
You still want to,
You said
Change
the
it.
ordinance.
I think
So,
you,
right now, it's just, the motion is just to
Postpone
postpone this
to-
item to a future date.
well, you actually said till
Correct,
the new
the
city
city
manager
manager.
arrives, and that's July. So is that what you still want?
Yes.
Okay, and we still have a second. You
So-
want-
He may have some opinions on the way he wants it structured.
So may I make a recommendation, Mayor, that we table this until the July 20th meeting. I believe our city manager is coming on board July 5th. Is that correct? July 6th?
July 5th, but our first meeting is the 7th. Want to baptize him by fire that night, we can do that.
I think we can table this to July 20th.
Okay, we'll do it on July 20th.
So do
Okay.
we need to amend the motions? I'll withdraw my second if you want to get your motion.
It's getting late.
This amendment to be include the 20th.
So we have a motion by Counselor Martinez and a second by Counselor Hefner to postpone this agenda item until July the 20th.
Yes.
Any further discussion? Mr. Miller?
Am I allowed to talk on that at all?
Yes, we
Okay.
allow any
Okay, I wasn't sure.
citizen participation on any agenda item.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Jackson Miller, San Antonio, I wasn't sure, that's why I asked.
No, we sure do.
City manager, or acting city manager, right, what's the title?
Acting city manager.
Acting city manager, and it's not like, she's just a city manager sometimes, and sometimes not, depending on what Mr. Martinez thinks she should or shouldn't be doing. Police advisory committee, important, is postponing that till July gonna hamper what they do for a few months? We have police that need everything that possibly can be done for them. Make no mistake, I'm very nice up here to you guys, because you guys are being very nice to me, but you have some rotten apples in your police department that are not appearing here. These guys here are fine, but there are some rotten apples, and we don't need to postpone anything relating to the police department until July. I can see postponing it not tonight, but not till July. Fully capable, Ms. Caldera. Fully capable. And I would urge you to reconsider how long you want to postpone that, that's all.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you for those comments. All right, so, we still have a motion and a second, and we will take a vote. Yes, any further discussion? Counselor Stevens, go ahead before we vote.
So I'll just add some comments and kind of to respond to that. I am intending on adding an agenda item to start. I think what I've heard from citizens and what I personally view it is we need significant cultural overhaul in our police department. And I think that there's meaningful steps that we can, start to kind of get into that direction. Of of course, police are under fire throughout the whole country, and so we don't necessarily want to become radical or anything, but the CPAC as it is right now, it's not working, and it hasn't worked, is what I kind of see, and so I think that it's better to just start from anew, or figure out why it's not functioning like it should be, and why our police, why the ratings are so poor, and why the feedback that we receive from citizens is so low regarding the community policing. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, and I'll have an agenda item that I'll add. It's kind of related to this at the end of the meeting.
Yes, Councilor Bradshaw.
Thank you, Mayor. And I would just add that I think one of the reasons Mr. Martinez and Mr. Hefner made the motion to postpone this adoption of the new city manager starts. It's not a slam on Dr. Calzera at all, but our city manager that we hired actually was over the police department up in Arlington. And so I think he might have some special insight and ideas of how this could work. And we wanted, the feedback I've received from citizens is that they want to see the police department in the communities. They want to see them involved. And so I think I hope we can come together and have some ideas of how to make this committee function better. So
Okay.
I'm in favor of moving it.
Sounds good. Yes, Councilor Hefner.
And the last thing I'll say, Mayor, before we call the question is, to respond to Mr. Miller is, I hear the urgency, I hear the desire to address an issue. I also don't think this body wants to rush into meaningful change. So we want to look well into a thing. We want to give our new city manager the opportunity to look well into a thing before we address it or have some appointments to this body that could potentially have long-lasting ramifications. So with that, I'll call the question.
You bet. So, all those in favor say aye to postponing this agenda item to July the 20th.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. All right. We do have, okay, now, we need a formal motion since we're after 10 o'clock. We don't take another formal,
Mayor,
yes,
I'll make a motion that we suspend the rules,
yes, sir.
that we ended, take some items after 10 and really continue on with the
Okay.
agenda.
All right, do I have a second?
I second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilor Bradshaw and a second by Councilor Hefner to suspend the rules, saying that we don't take another agenda item after 10 p.m. And continue with the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Thank you. Moving on then to agenda item number 12, citizens to be heard. Do you have anybody? Yes, and then Ms. Posley, do I have any additional letters? Okay, very good. Yes, Mr. Miller, you're recognized.
Jack Miller, San Antonio. Thank y'all for, thank you everybody who chimed in on that CPAC thing right after I spoke, because sometimes I try to provoke debate and thought, so I'll get up and I may put the figures at you. In that situation right there, I simply felt that something was fixing to get passed with just little or no explanation. And I have constituents that are like, WTF, what? And so I sometimes have to get up here and express what my constituents are actually saying. I actually felt that was probably the best thing to do, is wait till this new city manager come up. But after I spoke, all of you chimed in as to the reasons, and they were very good reasons. I gave you thumbs up on a bunch of them because I do agree with it, so. Yeah, all right, thank you.
All right, very good. Anyone else? Yes, Kathy.
Just wanted to make sure we all left on a positive note before we all have to go home and go to sleep. I know we all live different experiences, but I've never had anything but a positive experience with the police and the staff of the city. And I get that not everyone gets that, but the majority of the people in the city have had nothing but positive experiences with the staff and the police. And I just want everybody to feel it in their hearts, the appreciation from those of us that disagree with those that think they're bad apples and people doing things on purpose to not do their jobs or whatever. But I love the city staff, and everyone I know of the city staff and the police officers here, they're just very kind. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you for those comments, do appreciate it. Anyone else? Okay, we will then now move into agenda item number 13. The city's council shall meet in executive session to discuss the following. Pursuant to Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Section 551.071, consultation with the council on legal matters to receive legal advice with respect to pending litigation regarding cause number 2018 CV 00594, Robert and Gail Treble versus the Leon Valley Board of Adjustment. And it is approximately 10:21. And we will move into executive session. And if you are not here when we get back, thank you all very much for participating. And we'll see you at our next meeting on June the 1st. But we are moving into executive session and stand in recess. Okay.
So, you know, it may seem like sometimes when I get up and but I'm not. So, when I say there's some rotten cops, I'm talking about things, and I said that they're not using their faces, they're not on the street. When I came in here, none of them are allowed to be out there in this hallway. You know what? Two of them had left, but they went up back there. Oh, really? She told them.
Some people are allowed
Go out their way. I couldn't stop. But I meant what I said. Everything else is like questions. So that's what I'm talking about. And they all got to go. They all.
Well, they got rid of the one going out. I had the problem. So did you.
You had the problem.
Yeah.
I don't know who you are.
I live in Tucson. I'll tell you the story real quick.
Okay.
Because my brother had talked to Eric Plata and Justin Pullman, and I guess Justin don't come here anymore to the Leon Valley to the council meetings.
His work. The only reason he was really coming is because I was trespassed.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't allowed to be here, or else it would have been me. Now, it would have been me and Justin, because Justin's a political person. I'm like a pit bull. I'll make these people grab me by the hair. I ain't got none, believe me, they'll try. That's what I do. I get them to act out and get that bad shit out on camera. Justin doesn't, he's very conservative. And so his work here is pretty much done. He accomplished, his goal was to remove some city council people that were cancerous in his eyes.
Right.
City manager, Joe, and that's it. And now phase 2, I'm gonna come in, and every bond that steps foot in my house is gonna get fired from here.
I think I saw the video.
Their only saving grace is that they tell the truth in deposition. If they do not tell the truth in deposition, then they're not gonna have any choice. They're either going to have to fire them or say, you know what, we're okay with all this. And they don't. This council doesn't know
No, it was,
90% of what occurred. They
you
don't.
can take that
Yeah,
back
they
in
should.
there.
Okay.
Yeah, since I don't make it detailed tonight.
And I can prove it.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Yeah.
They killed my cameras in my house, right? They killed all the dummy cameras. They ain't killed my camera system. It's wired at my neighbor's house. Everything's at my neighbor's house. The only thing that are in my house are pinhole cameras. But the big cameras that they hit with the broom, they're fake. You get them at Harbor Verde. And you know what, they couldn't find a DVR or anything. You know what they found? They seized my modem from Grande. They figured that had something to do with it. And the cameras, the pinhole cameras, they are not wireless, they're wireless, they run underground. You know, so anyway, I caught them doing a lot of stuff in my house. They're gonna have to tell the truth, and if they don't, then that'll be their only saving grace. If they tell the truth, I'll leave them alone and let bygones be bygones. you made a mistake, don't ever do it again. But if they lie, I can't help them. So, can't really learn for lying, but you're, I don't know,
My name's Justin. Hernandez. I'm from Tucson.
Jack, from Tucson.
Yeah, I'll give you the story. What
How did
happened?
you hear?
Okay, well, I was born here in San Antonio. I had.
They're in executive session, right?
Yeah, they're in.
Can we go outside?
Yeah, yeah.
So, cause I could, that way I can smoke.
Yeah, that's fine.
And YouTube is messing around, so it doesn't matter. And look, here.
I put it on, oh yeah, I put it on and off.
No,
Ends, but
it's recording, right? Okay, watch this. When it's white, it's not recording, just so you. I record. Yeah, but I'm gonna have.
Well, I just don't want people showing up when they've had COVID and they didn't let anybody know, and, there was people out there, that come with a vaccine, so.
They gave me crap the other day because I still wanted 6 feet distance. And I was like, I can't get vaccinated, my mom can't get vaccinated.
I can't either.
Like, we're literally allergic to the ingredients in the vaccine and we will die.
Yeah, I'm not
And
allowed to
you're
get
giving me crap for not being 6 feet. What's wrong with you?
You gotta take care of yourself and your family, right?
Yeah. And then I also got crap for quarantining after I got back from traveling out of state. And it's like, literally only one person that we saw was vaccinated, because he's in the military and nobody else has been vaccinated yet. Like, you want me to just come and be like, yeah, I traveled across the state lines and stopped at a bunch of gas stations. Who knows what I brought back, but let me give it to you.
I hope you don't mind, I'm gonna go clean up, so that I don't have to stay a lot later.
Do you get to come in late on Mondays? Do you get to come in late on Tuesdays or Wednesdays?
Oh, no, I still come in. I actually don't sleep after the meetings. So sometimes I come in, I'll go home and I'll watch TV till like 2 and, or.
I actually have trouble falling
See,
asleep
that's
after the
like
meetings,
me.
because people are so angry, I can't go home and just
Yeah.
fall asleep.
No, and then I'll come in maybe like 4 or 5.
You kind of need to wind down after.
It's hard.
That's why I retired.
But you should not take anything Aaron promises personally, because he had a heated exchange with my husband on next door. But apparently he thinks they're friends and it was a nice exchange, so.
No, but I know
I think he just doesn't understand literally.
every mistake I make right now is just.
I worked civil service, and I was a supervisor of, I only had 18 people under me, but they were in 4 different buildings, so it was
Oh,
like,
that's
it's, trying to keep up with everybody. But part of it was call center, so I had the master, and you could see who was on the phone and who wasn't. There was one that was on the phone, but knew that it was on hold. I actually drove out to the base from where the building was out there. You weren't even there. And yes, waiting until showed up, but some things that it's just crazy. But you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, because I know that they want me gone, so it's like, and it's like when you know somebody's looking for you, then you do.
Well, we love you, and you're an angel, and anyone who says different obviously has an
I'm just
agenda.
not used to people being so ugly.
Yes. Go do your cleaning.
I know, I did.
Sorry.
I'm Kathy Rouse. I'm on,
Cassie Rouse.
I'm on the zoning commission.
Yes. Her husband.
And you're raised wife,
I'm his girlfriend.
girlfriend.
His girlfriend.
Does his wife know about you?
She approves. We went on a cruise with some friends, and
my mom, when my stepdad will go to leave the house, she'll like, okay, text me when you're on your way back so I can kick the pool boy out.
Like could be anything.
And he's always like, we don't have a pool, and she's like, I know. Oh my gosh,
I hope she meant that. I could help her.
I know. I don't know what they do with those extra cupcakes.
Probably put him in a break room for tomorrow. Or
Take him over to the
police
police
officers
or the
or
fire for whoever's overnight.
for tonight.
Oh my gosh.
So is that the only committee you're on?
Yeah. It's kind of a full-time job to come to these meetings and go to zoning commission meetings. It's
Yeah.
literally like every Tuesday unless there's a fifth Tuesday and then you get a break, but it's a lot of Tuesdays. It's a lot.
Well, I originally just wanted to be on the police district committee, and I was told, no, we already have somebody for your neighborhood, and then it was,
Yeah.
no, somebody else got on it. I was like, okay. And then, another said, no, we need somebody on her place, but, okay.
They always need people in that community.
Yeah.
And then it goes up.
But there's,
I'm just excited that we finally have our alternates and stuff full. Because we had one person on the list as an alternate who never came to a single meeting, and I don't know why she didn't get kicked off, because we have a rule, a 3-meeting rule.
Is that-
I don't even remember.
3
the name.
consecutive, right?
It was a 3-name name.
It's just a practice too, that's the other thing, I keep saying, we need to have that put in something, because it's not fair to the chair
Yeah.
or the liaison.
We had it actually written in the zoning, whatever, about how many absences you're allowed to have and if they're allowed to be excused, but it doesn't have like a list of what makes an excuse.
Well, it's not, yeah.
And so then our chair has to decide if it counts
The
as an
council needs to
excuse.
say that, the council needs to put that in the code. So, we've talked about having that brought back, but it's been so busy,
Yeah,
since the polling days of 3 years ago.
yeah,
3 years ago this month,
yeah,
it's when it all started.
3 years ago.
3 years is
yeah.
how long
And they
it's been
still
since
bring it up
Josh
every chance they get.
started all this.
You know, I say
3 years.
because Ray and I weren't involved in any politics until the St. John's Baptist Church.
Oh, is that what you're right, guys?
Yeah, because
I'm
Ray
still really
was
mad when
on
people
the-
call me a racist for that.
Ray was on the
That would make me mad.
HOA board. You know, it all has to do with the HOA, you know, but, she didn't want it. She didn't want them to expand. And I was all, you're not living in a big church, you know? But she
We were
didn't
not
want it on
against
the-
them expanding, we couldn't legally allow a zone change.
Is that the
I
little
think-
church on,
On Evers.
It's Heathen and Evers, it's the one way in the back of the grassy lot, and there's like a house on the corner, and they've got the bright light sign.
I think that was the one that I
They
went
had a
to.
dentist office right there on Evers.
But
I
now,
think at the same time all that was going on, there was oh no, it's not, there was another one. There's another one, but it's off of, it's like behind Hobby Lobby on that little street.
oh yeah,
Yeah, it's like one.
Yeah, a friend of mine from high school passed away and his family had his funeral in there. And we went and it was so crowded that the fire department had to come, there were people dropping from heat stroke inside.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it really was, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. And we've had a few churches come to get zone changes so that they could expand, since we made it so that they could get zone changes so they could expand. But St. John's has never come back for an appropriate zone change so they could expand, so I don't know. I imagine they are.
They already have, if you go in there, they have
When-
all drawn on.
Yeah.
Sure, I get it now.
When it was
Well,
over, they said they
they're not
would come
coming
back
out
when they
just
could save
flat.
more money, so.
No, I talked to Brandon about it because I was so new to all of this stuff. I didn't, just need to build it, just go build it. I didn't know anything about
Oh, yeah.
codes and all of this stuff. And so then I sat there and I was reading all the ordinances and,
Yeah, it's a
what
lot.
is it, chapter 15?
Mhm.
And I'm reading the whole thing and I went,
Then you get confused.
I
on
called
your
Brandon, I
way.
was, well, why couldn't they do an SUP, right?
Yeah.
On the thing, and so I asked Brandon, I didn't know anything. Mr. Milan, couldn't they have done an SUP? Well, they needed two, and he was trying to explain everything. I said, well, it just made sense. Why didn't they do that? Because that's not how they wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Was so against it, and I mean, on everybody's doors to vote against it, and said we didn't want it. Well, people, but I'll say if someone left the meeting when all the people were there from St. John's, and the attorney was really nice, we talked to him a couple of times, and when we went out.
Fletcher,
Is that his name?
that well dressed.
I'm bad with
Yeah,
names, I remember
Mr.
his face,
Fletcher,
so.
yeah, I had a
But
couple of record requests stuff go
Walked
down.
out, two people refused.
Oh my God.
I mean, he went, like, thank you for being here, and I'm like,
He was very nice.
and he was very nice,
So
and
nice
Ray
of
and I
him.
stayed in the parking lot talking to him afterwards, about, and Ray's thing was, I'm not against church being built here, but I'm against having the zone changed and then y'all selling it right away, and then the zoning is changed, and then, what can come in there, after that. And I could see that point too, after I learned all about, like I said, I had no idea about codes or
Yeah.
zoning or anything, so I have learned.
I mean, it's our job to look 30, 40 years in the future when we make decisions. Think about what it will be like in 30, 40 years.
Right.
But even just beyond that, the neighbors being against B2 because of what B2 could mean if they sold the land, even though right now they're not planning to. That's fine, but we just couldn't because it was spot zoning,
Right.
which we talk about a lot at zoning commission. Spot zoning.
I've
And that
learned a
was-
lot
and that
because
was the
we
real
watch them on
reason.
TV, we watch them on the streaming.
Oh yeah, but we were all, like, everyone on the commission loved the drawing that they had. It was pretty and we asked them to pick a different zone and they didn't want to. And so I'm very interested to see what they come back with.
Yeah, but for that, I'm like,
And I really hope they
so
come
what
back soon
can we
because I've been
do
waiting
to-
for them to come back since they like to review and think about things. Because I'm really excited to see what comes.
I think, somebody from the neighborhood has talked to him and they're talking about it. So what I've heard is that they're planning on.
Well, I hope so. That was a lot of fun seeing that case.
I tell you, that's what brought us about.
I love when we get fun cases. It's really boring for me when we get a case where Brandon talks for 20 minutes and then we just approve it because we all knew we were gonna approve it before Brandon started talking. And David even got in the habit of like stopping Brandon being like, I think we all know exactly what you're gonna say and do we need to see the presentation? We were like, no, we don't need to see the presentation. It's basically just ticking a box is this job we have.
A lot of times I think that, it's like, okay, so y'all get a packet, right? Get a packet, look over the packet. So, I know Race is there, and he's looking over, everything to
Yeah.
see what, what kind of questions he has. It's like, you pretty much already know before you go in there, so why?
If you've looked over the packet is the thing. I don't think everyone does look over the packet. Yeah. I actually, I have my degree in urban planning, so privilege of graduating during the height of the recession for people wanting my job. And so everyone retired and moved to all the small towns that usually hire the fresh graduates and stole all the fresh graduates' jobs for their retirement plan. So, and I had a baby that was like a month old when I graduated, and nobody wanted to hire somebody with a month-old baby, so we moved into my mom's basement instead. It was super fun.
Sounds like it. So how old's the baby?
He turned 13 in March.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, which means I haven't worked in my job since I graduated in 2008. So
So you have the one?
I have 3. Yeah. Yeah. My favorite is like, so like Brandon and the guy that works for the company that we're hoping will do the comprehensive plan, if they push through the comprehensive plan. We had a conversation in the hallway the other day about how I really like to get into doing what I went to school for. And they're just like, why don't you? And I was like, well, because I graduated 13 years ago and I've never worked in the field. Would you want to hire me? After having this discussion about how I'm so hireable and desirable a person, they're just like, oh, why wouldn't people hire you for not working for 13 years? And they're just like, well, would you? And he's like, well, I see your point.
So let's see, how can you,
Pretty much my only choices are to go to school and get more qualifications, because they don't make internships for people that aren't in school. The only internships you can get are if you're trying to get credit for a class. And so I can't just get an internship and then hope to get hired after they've trained me for free.
so can you go back and get like a certificate or something?
So I thought about getting a certificate for GIS, which I kind of wanted to double major, but at the school I was at, there were only like 3 classes different, so they wouldn't let you double major or even minor in one if you were majoring in the other, because they were basically the same major, because they required so much GIS of the planning department. So I was thinking about getting a certificate in GIS, and also because I haven't looked at one in 13 years, I'm sure the interface has changed a little. But that's like $10,000, and there's only 3 classes in it that would actually do me any good out of like 8 classes that I would have to take, and it just seems like such a waste. And then also I'd have to go to school for 2 years.
So is there a company that,
Well, Esri is the main GIS company, and they do trainings and stuff, but they don't do trainings for people that don't have jobs. Like, they're not trying to get you into the industry, like, you have to have a reason to go there, and usually you're sponsored by a company or a city or something. So, I don't know, it's just one of those things where there's lots of barriers for people that have kids, or were military wives, or there's a lot of barriers to getting in, which my husband used to work for USAA, and they have programs for retired military, and I think they were starting a program for military wives, but that only helps when you're done moving. I don't know what military wives do when they're still moving, because they're a military wife. And I don't know what stay-at-home moms do if their husband dies and now they can't be a stay-at-home mom, or their husband loses their job or gets disabled, or their kids grow up. Like, I've never met a stay-at-home mom that ever stopped being a stay-at-home mom. Like, they just stay home after the kids grow up, and then eventually their husband's retired. But I don't know what they do in between.
well, I took 13 years off. I had 5 kids, so I was fortunate enough to quit working and I worked civil service. And you know, funny that you mentioned military wives. My dad's was retired Air Force, so my mom was a stay-at-home mom off and on. But when I was a junior in high school is when my dad retired. So my mom said, because at that time you could take the civil service test in high school in Michigan, because it was right off of the Air Force Base. So that was something that they offered the local kids.
Right.
So my mom dad said, y'all take the test too. It was for quite a time Christi because our ranch is, pretty close to there. And, I got a letter, like 3 months after my dad retired. I was a senior in high school. That I was high enough on the register and they were offering me a job at the base. I was like, I'm still in high school, I can't go. So when I was going into college, I got a letter again offering me the opportunity to go work at the base. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go work. I'm not going to college. I'm gonna go make money. My kids laugh. They think it's hilarious because I graduated in 1974. I'm going to be 65 in December. But I was working for HEB in their general offices in their accounting department. And Mr. Butt himself working in the building. And it was when the telephone system was like Lily Tomlin, on TV, where you could take the things. It's exactly how it was, I thought it was so cool. I told my friend who was working there, I said, can I try? My kids said, Mom, you're old.
Oh, man.
But anyway, I was making $1.65 an hour. $1.65 an hour. This is 1974. And I got the letter to go interview at the base. And I went to work at the base, and the ladies that worked there were so jealous because I got hired and I was going to be making $2.25 an hour. And they were like, they don't even make $2.25 an hour. We've been here for years. My kids were like, Mom, that was crazy. I was making $5,650. I still had the paper at home. I think it was $56.82 a year is what I was making. Oh my God, Mom. And
I still remember when gas was less than $1 and I'm not that old.
And it was 5 years after that, I ordered a Corvette.
Oh man. Yeah.
Thing, and I got my funding for it and everything through the credit union at the base and all of that. So, no, but how times have changed, But, craziness. But I didn't go back to college until my kids were, I think my youngest one was in high school. Yeah, because I got my degree and she was just entering high school, and she's my youngest one. So I have 2 in high school.
Yeah.
And I'd come home, I'd be up studying and take my exams or tests or whatever, and I'd come home like, what did you get, Mom? And I'm back in age. Put it up on the refrigerator. There.
Yeah. I thought about getting a master's too, but I hate school. And I like working with people, but I hate school. I hate it. And I'm dyslexic, and so you put a textbook in front of me and that's my kryptonite. I can't get through a page. It's like the worst design ever for anybody that's dyslexic. So unless I have a professor that's preaching exactly to the test, I'm not going to do well.
We have friends, and their daughter dyslexic graduated from but anyway, she went to Baylor for college and graduated from Baylor, and now she's at UT for pharmacy. And not only is she in pharmacy, but she's just finishing out her rounds or whatever they're doing. She's going into her, whatever the next step is, she's gonna get her doctorate in pharmacy. And just proud of that,
Yeah.
girl, because with dyslexia, and she's worked so hard, and it's been tough for them, when she was younger, but they made it through.
I read a ton, but it can't be, I love my Kindle because it has a dyslexic font, and I can put any book I want in dyslexic font and change the brightness so that it's not making my eyes cross. But most textbooks have pictures and graphs you need to look at, and those don't go into a Kindle very well, and they also, most of them don't let you change the font, because they set it at the font they want, and they don't let you change it because then it did really well in college anytime I had a professor that taught to the texts or didn't heavily use a textbook to make us read it. And I always wanted to be a judge when I grew up. And then I realized how much reading of tiny, tiny print in law books you have to do, and I was just like, it's not gonna happen. I don't love it enough to put myself through that torture.
To go through all of that.
But, yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. 'Cause I've had part-time jobs here and there. I worked at Walmart for a while. Took pictures at Sears Portrait Studio. That was a fun job. But,
Well, USAA was a lot. I worked there
yeah.
when I first retired. And they took care of
The other problem is we don't want to live in Texas because it's trying to kill me. I'm literally allergic to everything. But I've had the best allergy year because I'm having to wear the masks. I might
It
just-
really helps,
I might
right?
just continue wearing it even after whatever has died down.
Yeah.
No one got sick last year with anything, no one caught a cold or flu, and it's the best allergy year I've had since I moved here.
I agree with you,
Yeah.
because me just going outside.
Yeah, like,
It's like,
usually in March, I get hives on every piece of exposed skin just walking from my car to the grocery store.
oh my
It's
goodness.
like just walking through the parking lot, I'll break out in hives on any exposed skin in like March and April because I'm just that allergic to everything.
March and April was
And
my
that's
time
like-
too, but it was baseball season, the red dirt.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And it's like, that's with me on 3 allergy medications and getting allergy shots. I would still break out in hives walking from the car to the grocery store. But at least I didn't go blind every winter because the first couple years we lived here, my eye allergies were so bad that I literally by like May, like everything was just like blurry, like I was looking through milk at things.
Oh my
And then, yeah, it was.
So where's your home?
Well, I'm a military brat.
Yeah,
So-
I mean.
Yeah, so I was born in Germany, and then after I was born, my parents were stationed in South Dakota, and then my dad was stationed in a war zone, so we moved in with my grandma in Montana, and then my parents got divorced, and my mom moved to Denver for a job, and then married my stepdad, and then we bounced back and forth between Colorado and Montana, and after my dad came back from Croatia, he was stationed in Louisiana, so I spent a couple summers in Louisiana. Visited Houston Six Flags once in the summer. Hated it. It was so humid and disgusting everywhere.
Well, I'm so old, I went to Astro World.
Yeah.
When they had Astro World, that was like, oh,
Yeah, and then
that was miserable.
my dad's family has lived in Virginia and married other people that have lived in Virginia since 1610. So lots of Virginia family. I get a southern accent like that, and it takes a while to go away.
My
So if I
sister's
talk,
like that.
if I talk to anyone with a southern accent, or even watch a commercial where people have heavy southern accents, it'll be a few hours. My roommate, I went to college in Utah, and my roommates would always know when I talked to my grandma on the phone because I would talk like a southern lady for a couple of days.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny how some people can pick it up just like that, you know?
Yeah, and like, I won't even notice I'm doing it, and I have the same problem because we lived in Montana so much, and the Canadians vacation where we lived in Montana, and so every time we would go, visit my mom for the summer, when I would come back to Texas, my husband would be like, you sound Canadian. You sound so Canadian, and it takes me a few months for it to wear off again, so. Yeah, but yeah, mostly Montana, Colorado, went to college in Utah. Remember South Dakota, mostly, we moved when I was 4.5 or 5. So mostly I just remember it was really humid and we lived by railroad tracks that were really fun to play on.
Isn't that fun how, you
Yeah.
know, you remember those things? When my dad, well, he came to San Antonio, you know, that's where it all started. They had 3 kids there. And from San Antonio, we moved to New Hampshire.
Oh, that's a shame.
And we lived in a 3-story house, and there was a different family on each floor.
Okay.
We were on the bottom floor, but right across the street was a cemetery. That was our playground.
Oh, always,
You
yeah.
know, because even when it snowed, we were out there. But my parents used to take us in there, you know, for walks. And, okay, let's see who can find the oldest, you know, the one that was born the furthest back, and we come looking through everything. And then let's see who was the oldest when he died, and who was the youngest when he died. You know, those were the things we used to do. My brother was born there, and
In the cemetery.
yeah, in the cemetery, at the base. But he was actually born in Maine, and we were in Hampshire. But from there, we went to Guam. So we
Okay.
were in Guam for 2 years, and then we went to Nebraska, and then went back to Guam for 3 years. Which was amazing. I wish I was older. I was like, when we left there, I was in the 5th grade. But it was so much fun. And then from there, we went back to Corpus Christi, because my dad went to Vietnam. And when he came back from Vietnam, we went to Michigan for 4 years. And my dad retired right after my junior year. I was so upset. And I was like, 1 more year. I was there for 4 years since I was in 8th grade. He had extended a year so my sister could graduate. And I was like, why? You extend a year so she can graduate from high school. but
Maybe
that
she was a more
leaves
desperate
me-
case than you were.
No, that leaves me like, what? And then, you know, she graduates, I come back for my senior year, and I only had to take 2 classes. Because I had to go for 40 hours to school, because you had to do, you know, 40 hours. And, she ends up graduating from college after 7 years.
Oh my gosh. I graduated in 4 years. But I probably would have extended a year if I wasn't pregnant my whole last year, because I was like, I don't wanna have to do this and drive a baby around. And so I had a baby, and then, so I had a baby March 13th, and then graduated April 24th, I think. And I was lucky enough, my mom and my sisters came for a week. My mom went to class for me for a week and took notes for me. And then after a week of recuperating from squeezing a 9-pound baby out of myself, I was back on campus, and she left my 11, almost 12-year-old sister behind to kind of nanny for me for a month before they came back down again for graduation. So I had a little tiny living nanny, or I never would have did it.
Wow. Well, good for you for doing all of that.
But of course, because I was as big around as I am, they hired me for an internship, so I had to take a master's level class instead of doing an internship in order to graduate. And so,
Curious.
yeah.
I got a new setup
It was
and
I started taking 17 credits.
YouTube was acting funny.
And then had a baby, and one of them was a 3-credit master's level.
This is still running, Livestream, and there's still people on there, but I lost mostly all my viewers because,
Fail this class, but if you do this and this for me.
oh no, it's back again.
So that you can graduate. I was just like, you're my favorite. Going
Trying to help you.
Going to a church.
These are all the people commenting. There's, I don't know, 34 people watching with ain't shit. Normally it goes up to a few hundred, but
Social media these days,
and people are on here talking and stuff like that.
held a baby.
Guys, they're in executive session, and there really isn't anything. When they come out of executive session, they're going to close the meeting. I was outside talking with a resident for a little bit, and there you guys are.
I was in class with a guy who had 3 kids.
Yeah, so when they come out of executive session, they're probably just going to shut the meeting off. It's kind of late. It's 11 o'clock Central Time. So I know these meetings are boring now, not compared to what they were when Justin was here. But the tyrants are still here. They're in the back. They're not showing their face. They can only stay hidden for so long. And I'll be here to catch them when they come out. I'll be watching Leon Valley like I always have been. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry for the YouTube hiccup. That was YouTube. I'll show you guys my setup right quick. Let me show you what I got going on. And right now I'm looking at about 80% battery still after all this time. And what I have is, let me see if I can operate. I'm still trying to learn how to operate this new gimbal, but this is my tripod here. And on the tripod, normally the gimbal goes right up here, but I have the gimbal holding the camera right now. But I have these batteries. They're 30,000 mAh, and they are solar powered. And they actually charge off of the fluorescent lighting that's in here. So that's pretty cool. And so what I do is I have them attached to the tripod, and I have right here, this is plugged into the gimbal, and then the gimbal wirelessly charges my phone, so I don't have to plug anything into the phone. So it keeps the phone charged, the battery keeps the gimbal charged, and on this battery here, it has a gauge on the back. See if I can show you guys here. There's some blue lights. I don't know if you guys can see the blue lights or not. Somewhere around there. Anyway, I'm still at about 3/4 power on one battery, and I got two. So it's pretty cool. But anyway, I got good battery. The stream signal's good. And I'll take this phone off of here and show you guys how this works. Yeah, the fluorescent light is recharging the battery. And I'll show you what I mean by that here in a second. But this is my gimbal here. It's a mini MI made by, I don't know who makes it, DJI or something like that. Anyway, it charges wirelessly through there, and then you can see the cord plugs into the back, and there's your control panel. Anyway, and I just hook it into my camera here. See if I can do that or not. Hold on a second, guys.
Your height and your weight match each other. They're supposed to.
All right, so anyway, it goes onto the camera like that, and then the phone sits in there. So I put it into the phone, click a button. That'll get it all nice and where it needs to be. Yeah. And then if I click it twice, it'll start charging the phone. Oh, so yeah, I wanted to show you on the battery. There's a green light on top. That little green light right there. That means it's receiving a charge. So I don't know how much of a charge it receives off the fluorescent lights, but this particular battery right here, I've been running since, let's see here. I've been running, and normally there's 4 dots right here that are blue. I'm down to 2, so I'm at 50% on this battery, and it's powering both these devices. So yeah, it is picking up a charge from the fluorescent lights. Otherwise, I'd be probably dead on that first battery, which I expected. So anyway. Oh, it's a Moza, M-O-Z-A. It's a Moza, M-O-Z-A mini MI. They run about 90 bucks on Amazon. Pretty cool stuff. But anyhow, then I have this mini iPad. so I can monitor the live stream and type into the comments and things like that. Apparently Springer 81 is some type of physics expert, says that fluorescent light doesn't put out enough light energy. You look, man, I just read the material, the user manual, and it charges off of fluorescent light. What can I say? Or incandescent, fluorescent, whatever the hell kind of light it is in here. But it does charge. It does pick up the light.
Granted, he's like me, he prefers it cold. He sweats at the drop of the hat.
And to test it, I actually, the initial charge, I actually just set him in my office and turned on the lights and let him charge that way. So.
I am such a cold person that week that it snowed.
All right, guys. Thank y'all for watching. Thank you for watching. Gonna probably go out and pay attention to the cops a little bit. And thank y'all for watching. And y'all be safe out there. I will review it. I will review the audio. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, 357 Sig Beats 9mm. I'll definitely review the audio. I'm glad that it kept going. You guys are funny.
We've spent just about every other summer, we spent 2 months up north with my mom and grandma and my dad. They're divorced, but they live like 5 hours apart.
All right, guys.
Except now my mom's moving to.
Y'all be safe.